This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Look at this incredible sunrise this morning. Isn't that just absolutely spectacular? And this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live. Welcome to an incredible morning here at Nkuhuma Private Game Reserve. Look at that spectacular sunrise that we have been blessed with this morning. And of course, the perfect silhouette of what once was a knobthorn. Isn't that absolutely lovely? It is very warm here today. It's 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So no jerseys for myself. No jerseys for anyone this morning, in fact. It is really, really spectacular. Hello, just in case you've missed me, my name is Tayla, and of course on camera I've got David again, who brings much luck to my life with finding all the animals. And isn't that fantastic? We left yesterday off with a cheetah and an incredible sunset, and now we've got this amazing sunrise in the background. Isn't that lovely? Now, we had a little bit of drizzle, can you believe it, earlier this morning. Little downpour just before we started, which was lovely. It was definitely welcomed. It's nice to just settle the dust. But as the sun rises, it's burning away all the clouds, and it's clearing up very nicely. Like I said, it's so nice and warm. I think finally the sun is back. Now I'm uncertain of what I'm going to do this morning. Do I go to Cheetah Plains and follow up on those cheetahs? Or do I perhaps go and find Xiluva, who is on the cut line? So I'd love to hear from you. Perhaps you can give me a hand on deciding. Should we go to Cheetah Plains to find the cheetah? Or should we stay on Nkuhuma and have a look for Xiluva to start the day off? And if you'd like to send in your answers, you're welcome to either hashtag Safari Live or on Twitter, or you can send us an email, questions@wildearth.tv. Right, we're going to now reverse while I wait for your response as to what you think we should do today. Now, my left eye is a little bit red this morning. I have no idea what's wrong with it. It's not cooperating. So if you see that, I do apologize. But look who else we've got here. We've got our friend, the buffalo, who was making all sorts of sounds while we were watching the sunrise, and you can see a fence in the background. That is somebody's house in there. And of course we want to keep the buffalo and the lions out, especially when there are young children around, so they put up that electric fence. And Mr. Buffalo doesn't seem to mind too much, because that's actually where he slept, is in this little thicket. I remember passing him just before I got home last night after the long journey from Cheetah Plains back to Nkuhuma. He's a lovely boy, but he better be careful, because he's all on his own. And we know that the Nkuhuma Pride is not too far away from here. I'm sure you're probably wondering, why am I not going to see my beloved Nkuhumas? Well, that's because there's somebody else out here today that you haven't seen for a while, who's going to take the pride and joy and have a look at the Nkuhumas. I'm always surprised to see these buffalo, even though there's lots of grass around for them to eat, that he's now feeding on some leaves. Isn't that funny? Probably preferring to change up his diet a little bit while there's some new leaves around. However, we know that they can't really digest those leaves too well. Hey, big boy, I wonder what he's going to get up to today. Perhaps he's going to go down to the dam. You may possibly see him on the dam cam a little bit later. It is going to warm up quite nicely. So it wouldn't surprise me if he went and wallowed in the mud for most of the day. Now, I wonder, David, if this is not perhaps our friend. The one that chased me and I had to dive into the tent, because there seems to be one big buffalo bull that hangs around. and doesn't mind sitting right up against the fence. Now, normally they wouldn't really enjoy that too much, just because they've sort of blocked in, I suppose, with the fence. You can see him giving me a bit of a death stare. Does my voice sound familiar? No, he's doing that. Is his resting face, because he's usually using the luxury bathroom currently. You could hear the plopping of the patty. Oh, now he's finished. Now he's moving on. He's still looking in all right condition. He's a little bit thin towards the rump. You can see, obviously, his body had to tuck into his muscle resource just as the drought is coming to an end. Well, it's not quite over just yet. We need quite a bit more rain, but he's keeping a careful eye out on us. We'll see where he goes, but he's a big bull. He does actually look very much like the bull that charged me. I'm going to give him space. No, and not that he's a problem in the vehicle. I'm very nervous of him, as you can imagine, after my ordeal with the buffalo. Lovely. Well, the buffalo is heading away. And like I said, there's somebody special here who hasn't been here for a while and is absolutely desperate to say hello. So without further ado, let's go across to Byron so he can say hello.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm back. It's so good to be back. Those of you who don't know me or can't remember me, my name's Byron. And on camera this morning, I've got Brian and the thumb. So the B&B are back together again. It's great to be back. I'm so excited. I've really missed this place. I've missed everyone, and it looks like I brought some rain with me. This morning we had a bit of a downpour, not a lot, but there's still a bit of cloud cover around. It looks like it's cleared up though, and any little bit of rain is very, very welcome. So it sounds like Taylor's waiting to find out what she's going to do. She's going to head over to Xiluva or head down to Cheetah Plains. Myself and Brian are going to head back into the area where the lions were yesterday with the buffalo kill and see what activity is going on around there. Taken a little bit of a detour, just driving around. After a bit of rain like this, it's a lot easier to see any fresh tracks. So just having a quick scan, and then we're going to head, we'll have a look here. There's a giraffe. There we go. Wow, really old male giraffe. That's fantastic. Lovely little surprise. I can hear the faint roar of lions in the distance. Actually, I'm just trying to listen out which direction they are coming from. It is quite far. I don't think you'll be able to hear it on the mic, but it sounds like kind of southeast of us, or a little bit further east of where we are. That giraffe's just disappeared into the thicket over there. Can you still see him? Yeah. Looks like that giraffe might also be listening to the lions and he heard. Just trying to see if his head pops up again for us, because it's very, very interesting just to see how old this giraffe is. And I can tell because of all that calcification around the head. Let me just see if I can reposition so that you can have a good look at that. Anything there yet? Sorry, this is proving a little harder than expected. My reversing and driving skills and talking need some practice. Been out of it for a little while. He's just moving off there. But that was a very, very old giraffe. A lot of calcification. You get these really large protrusions coming out of the skull, and that's a good sign or indication that it's an old giraffe. It was a nice surprise. Let's continue on towards the lions. So as I was saying, it's great to be back. I've been all over at the moment. I've been guiding in different parts of South Africa, and now I'm back for quite a while, which is great. I think I'm here for about 3 weeks, then about a week break, and back for another two or 3 weeks. So really looking forward to it. Giving some of the other guys a break. I know James, I think, is currently lying on the beach somewhere, taking some time off for his birthday, which is fantastic. Brent, unfortunately, has hurt his back, as you heard yesterday, so hopefully he recovers quite quickly. And then Jamie is also taking some time off. It's great to meet Tayla. She wasn't here last time I was here, so lovely to meet her and spend some time with her. And of course, all of you, all the viewers, thanks so much for all the messages. I've been receiving a lot of messages. Everybody excited that I'm back, and I look forward to all the questions and comments coming through. Don't forget that you can send questions through Twitter, #SafariLive, or email us at questions@wildearth.tv. And myself and Tayla will get through some of those questions. Such a beautiful morning. After this rain, everything kind of cools down a little bit, and it's almost like we get a bit of relief from this dry heat, and the dust settles. The smells in the bush are incredible. All the birds are calling. It's a wonderful, wonderful time after this morning rain. You can see some green grass shoots coming up already, which is fantastic. You know, we've had a very, very dry season, so hopefully we get more rain. We're going to need a lot more for waterholes to fill up in that, and for the vegetation really to grow. I was in this area, or just further south, about 3 weeks ago. Oh, there's something else. Look at that. Beautiful zebra. Oh, wonderful. Looks like it's alone. I don't see any others around. Perhaps a stallion. It's always difficult from a distance just to gauge if it's male or female, but from what it looks like, it's definitely a stallion that I can see that's there by himself. And he may be looking for some females at some point. Oh, that got his attention. Oh, beautiful animals. And you know, just driving now, I'm thinking to myself, it's just so great to be back here in this area where the wildlife is so abundant. I mean, just driving around already, we passed a buffalo bull early this morning on our way out. We saw that beautiful old giraffe, and now the zebra. It just makes guiding so much easier when you're seeing animals on a regular basis like this. And by the sounds of things, and I've been following a little bit too, everybody has been so fortunate with all the sightings. All the cats yesterday was incredible. Yesterday afternoon, the lions, leopards, cheetah. So everything's happening at the moment, which is fantastic. I think a lot of the animals are still struggling a bit after the drought, so they're not quite as healthy as they would like to be. But that is nature, and very soon I think everything's going to find a balance and restore themselves back to good health. But the zebra over here actually looks in quite good condition. It's always difficult to tell with zebra though, because they always seem very plump and very well fed, and it's because they get a lot of gases building up in their body when they are feeding. You can see this zebra is constantly feeding there. They are bulk feeders, so they're constantly grazing, looking for good grass. It's probably trying to find those green little shoots that I was speaking about earlier that have just popped out, and trying to look for all the nutrients in there. It's interesting to see that tail always swatting, constantly keeping flies away. So I'm going to carry on, myself and Brian are going to carry on and go see if we can find those lions, see what's going on there. Taylor's got something in a tree for you to look at.
Finally, I've been seeing plenty of birds this morning instead of with a grey backdrop. We've actually got some blue sky for a change, so that's quite exciting. Remember the other day I was saying how I always seem to see the most birds on the cloudy and the most gloomy of days, which doesn't always provide the best picture. But this is a little bit better, and of course this is a very active white-backed vulture. Very regular, apparently, as he sits there waiting for the day to warm up and the thermals to start brewing, so it can go off and start its day. Now, vulture, if I can point you in the right direction from where you are, if you can see, it looks like it perhaps wants to take off. Often they defecate before they fly. Yes, are you going to jump? It looks like he's getting ready to jump. Do a big jump for us. Now try and catch a screen grab here. That would be quite nice to get this vulture leaping off this dead tree and into flight. Okay, we'll see if we can catch it. And it's thinking about it and it's looking north. Perhaps it understands English. Or maybe it can also just see its friends in the distance. You've given us false hope, vulture. Now it looks like it's settled down again. Look at those big feet, though, just draping over the edge of that long toes, big claws. Perfect for perching. Seem very relaxed. Now, I know that all of you watching have made a decision as to what we should do this morning, and I think most of you have voted for cheetah. That's exactly what David and I are doing, is that we are making our way towards Cheetah Plains, and hopefully we'll be able to find those boys again. It'll be quite exciting. You can see that nice blue sky that I was telling you about. My eye seems to be getting a little less red. I am dousing it with eye drops. Hopefully it's going to sort it out. But let's carry on. Let's not stall any longer. I know we need to try and get there as soon as we can so that nobody we're going to get there and they're still going to be on those big beautiful plains, perhaps just laying underneath the tree, sitting on the top of a termite mound. And if you weren't watching today, sorry, because you missed an incredible drive. It was action-packed. We had lions, Jamie had 2 leopards, and then of course we found the 2 cheetah brothers, which haven't been seen for a couple of months, so that was quite nice. And as we left you, a herd of wildebeest moved in and sort of herded the cheetah away from where we had them, and they were showing some interest in those impala that were alarming and of course running away from the brothers. So we'll see, perhaps they got lucky and maybe they caught one. But it's going to take us some time to get there. I feel as though because my eye is a bit on the fritz, I can't go as quickly as I was going yesterday. I have to just take it easy. It's fantastic. Remember how I said it was a little bit, it wasn't chilly this morning, and I've actually taken all my jerseys off and things. David's put another one on. He says it's got very cold. Right. But let's go back across to Byron, who's got my favorite animal in the whole wide world.
So it's Taylor's favorite animal, but it's probably one of mine too. This beautiful elephant. I love seeing elephant out in the bush. It's just amazing. We were on our way to see if we can find those lions again. And as I mentioned, we bumped into so much already this morning, and then this elephant bull just standing, feeding very peacefully on the side of the road. What I've noticed, and if you can look closely where his tusk is over there, but the tree that he's feeding on is actually a buffalo thorn. Now, I always find this absolutely fascinating. The thorns on these trees are incredibly sharp. You can't touch one of the branches or anything, it will draw blood. They're very, very sharp, and obviously it's a protective mechanism to prevent animals from feeding on them. But if you have a look at this elephant, he's very, very happy to pull those branches right off and use that tusk to break it. Let's see if he gets it right. And then feed on that. It's incredible, and I think one of the main reasons why they love these trees so much is because of all the nutrients. These trees have thorns for a reason. It's to protect them because they have so many nutrients, so a lot of animals want to feed on them. Obviously the thorns help a little bit, but as you can see with this big elephant, if he wants to feed on them, he's not going to be too fazed by thorns. Other trees have different defense mechanisms. Some of them will just have a very high tannin content. And that will prevent animals from feeding on them. One of the best examples is the guarri tree. But for now, this elephant is very happy feeding on the buffalo thorn. And it gets its name from, I think years ago, hunters or people that were tracking or following animals, they would find buffalo quite regularly being hunted by lions, and these buffalo, what they would do is actually reverse into the buffalo thorn, and that way prevent the lions from attacking from the rear, and they could defend themselves with their horns facing outwards and facing the lions. So that is apparently how it gets its name, the buffalo thorn. Don't see any other elephant around in this area at the moment. It just seems like it's this bull on his own. So Wyatt has asked us a question, and good morning to you, Wyatt. Wyatt has asked, what age do elephants start mating, or the young bulls start mating? Wyatt, what I've seen in the past is generally from the age of about 25 to 30, the elephants definitely start becoming more dominant, and the chances of mating with females are a lot better. The reason why they need to wait till they're a bit older is not because they won't be able to mate before then. They probably would, but what happens is the older males prevent the younger males from mating with the females. It's only the really big dominant males that are able to mate with the females. So this male over here, I think, is still a little bit young. If he finds females, he could probably try his luck, but I think he will be pushed out by a larger, more dominant male, and they will probably get the chance to mate with the females. So I would say anywhere between 20 and 30 years old, they'll start looking and start trying to mate with females, but it all depends on what dominant males are in the area. Let's see if this male comes and says hello. See how he's lifting his ears and head a little bit? Oh, this is wonderful. Look how close he is. Isn't this great? Notice how I just lowered my voice a little bit. Don't want to talk too loudly. He is quite close, but very relaxed. Wow, look at him just reaching over there for those leaves at the top. This is a fantastic welcome back. To get so close to an elephant is just an incredible experience, and it really is so special. Wow, look at that eye, beautiful. If you are able to see, they do have a beautiful amber color to the eye. There we go, you can just look at those long eyelashes. Again, he is quite close, so I'm not talking too much and not too loudly. Don't want to startle him. He's very comfortable with us at the moment, and I always like to think a feeding elephant is a happy elephant. So if they are standing, chewing, feeding, pulling, breaking branches, they generally are quite relaxed, and he is not showing us any sign of him being uncomfortable with us being so close. Also, he chose to approach us, which is something else that's much better than us trying to drive in towards a herd or closer towards a male. They can then become a little bit aggravated. Wow, he's really moving quite close now. He's probably about 3 meters away from me. I mean, it's right here. It's fantastic. And again, just watch how he uses those tusks to break the branches. Oh, I could hear some elephant screeching in the distance, possibly a younger elephant that maybe is just trying to get milk from a mother. Often that happens, and the younger elephants screech and scream, and maybe this young bull is trying to catch up to the herd. So we've got a question that I think has come through via Twitter from Gorky Grizzly, and Gorky Grizzly would like to know what is the difference, other than the ears, between the African and the Asian elephant. Well, you're 100% correct with the ears, and the African elephant ears are much larger than the Indian elephants. The other thing is generally the size. The African elephants are much larger than Indian elephants. The shape of the head is slightly different. The Indian elephants tend to have a much rounder head, but size, ears and shape of the head is probably the easiest way to tell the difference between the African and the Asian elephant. Such a wonderful, wonderful sighting. Look at those ears folded over slightly, and there you can see the ear canal. And again, those beautiful lashes, and look at those veins behind the ears, and that's one of the ways they cool themselves down. They flap those ears because of all the blood running through those veins. It cools the blood down slightly, and that helps regulate body temperature. You can see every now and then when he opens his ears, there we go, look at those veins, huge network of veins running through those large ears. I think we're going to leave this beautiful bull. We've had such a wonderful sighting with him, so relaxed, so happy to walk right past us. We're going to carry on having a look if we can find where the lions have gone to, if they're still around. While I do that, Tayla has got a large bovine for you.
We've got quite a few large bovids for everybody that is watching this morning. It's a nice breeding herd, not particularly large. There must be about 50 of them or so here moving through, and they're moving very quickly. None of them want to hang around. I think breakfast is more important this morning, or perhaps they've had a scare from something and they've decided they need to get out of the area that they were in. They're making quite a bit of noise as well, so see if we can have a little listen as they communicate. Oh, not talking too much, just a little bit of chitter-chatter. You can see this one's very curious with us, watching us, giving us the buffalo stare, as they love to do. And they're beautiful. Now, on our way towards cheetah plains, it's one of the things I'm also going to be looking for. Was yesterday afternoon we could hear, and we very briefly saw a very large herd of buffalo. So perhaps they'll be out today and actually in the open instead of hiding behind all the trees. There's not a breath of wind today, so nobody has got an excuse to be a little bit jumpy. They'll be able to hear us, and they'll definitely be able to see us coming. Look at this lovely buffalo coming up towards us. Good morning. It's not much grass left, unfortunately, for the buffalo in this area. So I think that's why they're probably moving quite quickly, I suppose, as well, is that there isn't really anything for them to feed on, but they take advantage of any little bit of grass, as you can see there, is that they can put through their mouths and into their stomachs, because they don't know when we're going to get rain again, and neither do we, so they need to be prepared. And it's quite nice. You can see the little white flowers just to the left of the buffalo's foot. Now to the right of its face. Yeah, almost kicked it. Now, James has actually showed you these flowers quite a few times, and it's the string of stars that we're seeing at the moment. You can see all the little flowers are about to pop out and open. And that's something I'm looking out for. I did see one of my favorite flowers called a lion's eye, which is a bright orange flower, and I'm going to keep my eyes open for that, because I'd love to show you that one this morning. That's a really stunner, and it's quite interesting too, but I won't ruin the surprise too much until I find it. Wonderful. We're going to keep carrying on. In the moment, once this other buffalo crosses the road, of course they have a right of way, and continue our search for the cheetah brothers. Hello, buffalo. Letting off a silent moo. No, not going across the road anymore. Decided that I'm going to go the other way around, the long way around. Ah, let's quickly move off the road. Good morning, everybody. I think let's quickly go back to Byron. I've got to find out some information very quickly that could be quite viable to us.
So while Tayla carries on heading towards cheetah plains, tries to work out where the cheetah are, we're trying to have a look where these lions have gone to, and I can't see anything. I'm not sure if they've moved off already, but we are very close to that area that they were in yesterday. So we're having a good look around here. Really is a lovely morning. It's a nice, cool morning. It's not too hot just yet, but I think the day is going to be wonderful. I think it's going to be a beautiful day. We just need a bit more rain. We were saying this morning, Stefan and I were chatting, we were saying we need rain between 9 and 3. So it doesn't rain on game drive. Dina would like to know if I'm excited to see the Nkuhuma cubs. Definitely. When I was here last time, we suspected the one or two of the females had given birth, but we hadn't seen the cubs yet. So I'm very excited to see them and see how they are doing. I remember the one lioness kept going back towards Buffelshoek Dam. They were around that area quite a lot. I'm not sure if they eventually found a den site or if the lionesses just decided to bring them out when they were old enough. There's some impala around here. Don't see any sign of these lions. I really do think they've possibly finished that kill and moved off. Another zebra. Well, there's some impala through there. Always lovely seeing the impala in the mornings. They are beautiful antelope. Probably all got a little bit wet this morning. Just a few hours ago, as I mentioned earlier, we had a bit of rain, which was lovely. It was lovely lying in camp listening to the rain falling. It's definitely very, very welcome at the moment. There's a black-headed oriole that is calling at the moment, right very close to us, very close to us. A beautiful call in the morning. And here's some more zebra. If you have a look, they're just off to the left of the road. I see 1, 2, and it looks like just 2 of them. Hold on a second, I'll try to get you a better view. There we go. And I think one of the reasons why we're seeing so many zebra in that at the moment is because of these green grass shoots. Good morning, James Richard. James, I know you're an avid follower, and James has asked what is on the wish list, or on my wish list, that I would like to see while I am back. James, I would like to see a honey badger. we were speaking about it yesterday, actually, and I just haven't seen a honey badger for, I think it's 3 or 4 years. And if I must be honest, a honey badger is my absolute favorite animal. I just love them. They've got such attitude. They're incredibly tenacious and not afraid of anything. So I would definitely love to see a honey badger while I'm here. And other guys, whenever you say that, people say, oh, we saw one last week, or we saw one the other day. So hopefully in the next few weeks while I'm here, we get to see a honey badger. That would be definitely on my top of the list of my wish list. And then, you know, seeing leopards, it's always wonderful. See what the leopards are up to in this area at the moment. And I just love spending time with elephant like we just did. You know, I just find it, it's very peaceful. You're sitting watching these massive beasts move past, feeding, completely relaxed. And they really are fascinating. I love elephant. Still having a look for any sign of these lions, but no luck just yet. There's some more impala moving through the thickets around here, and usually, I mean, if you do see a lot of these herbivores moving around, impala, chances of there being a pride of lions close by are quite slim. You know, it depends. If they are feeding in an area, then yes, you can see them around. But with these impala, they've all been moving through, it looks like, over quite a large area. So I doubt there are any predators around. Otherwise, we probably would have heard the alarm calls already. They'll pick up on the scent or see the lions or predator, whatever it may be. just trying to scan carefully. You know, it's so funny coming back to Safari Live. As I mentioned, I've been guiding in other areas the last few months, been all over, and usually some of the areas that we go to or that I work in, there's a tracker that drives with us, so it makes it a bit easier for me as a guide with a tracker, because he'll be looking for tracks and also helping spot animals. Whereas now I've got to do everything myself. Well, Brian obviously helps, and his spotting's incredible, but it's difficult to look for tracks, talk to the camera, have a look around for animals. It takes a bit of getting used to, but it's a lot of fun. Here we go, we've got a lot of vultures up ahead here. I'll just have a look at that quickly. That's just a lovely view from back here. So all these vultures sitting in that tree. It's a perfect tree for them. See those dead branches? It's easier for the vultures to land in them. Oh, look at that. Beautiful white-backed vultures. And I think the reason they are all up here is this is the area I think that they had, or these lions had the kill. So I'm going to keep looking very carefully. Maybe they are still around. Often what happens is the vultures will go and sit in a tree like this, especially now in the early morning. It's rained a little bit. They're probably a bit wet, so they want to dry off. They're going to wait for the day to warm up, and as soon as those hot thermals start rising, that's when the vultures will take off, fly around and start looking for food. But I think they're all here because of that buffalo kill from yesterday. So that would have attracted one or two vultures, probably a batelier or tawny eagle. They're also scavengers. They'll come through, and then the next thing, all these vultures start following each other. They can see each other from about 2 to 3 kilometers away. So if one comes down, the next one just starts following and following until you get a large group of vultures like this, waiting for some scraps. So let's have a good look around here. Wow, these vultures are incredible. They're amazing, amazing birds. Look at the huge wingspans. And they're incredibly heavy birds too. Just have a look. I mean, as you see them jumping around and taking off, you can see the whole tree actually move, all the branches moving. Trying to listen out for any sign of those lions. Don't hear or see anything just yet. Let's just scan here quickly. Some vultures on the ground up ahead, and you can hear as they take off, you hear those wings flapping away. It obviously takes quite a bit of effort to get this large bird up into the air. And that's why they prefer using the thermals. They conserve their energy, and it's easier to then fly around while looking for food. Just going to move forward a little bit further. Like I said, there are some vultures on the ground up ahead, so let's go have a look there and see what they've found, or if they are feeding on anything. Yeah, one or two taking off just through the thicket. It's a bit difficult to see. There they go. Now, I know in the past, from what I've seen, lions don't like vultures around. They're very protective of their kill. If they do... Brian spotted something over there. Yeah, you see, carcass completely finished. And it looks like the lions have moved off. Isn't that amazing? There's nothing left of that buffalo. Yeah, so it does appear that the lions have moved off, and those were possibly the lions that we heard a little bit further east earlier this morning that were calling in the distance. But and it looks like some vultures have already got to that carcass, probably the odd jackal around. Other little scavengers during the evening coming through, probably some hyena perhaps. Usually only if the lions have moved off. If the lions are around, it's unlikely that those scavengers will come too close. They're still very nervous of the lions. But now with the lions moved off, I think very, very soon, especially as the day warms up, these vultures will come down and pick away at what's left there. And there is still a little bit of meat on the ribs and around the legs, but already the flies and everything around there. But not much left, completely finished. That's incredible. And it was a large pride. I mean, that Nkuhuma pride's doing well at the moment, so a kill like this would have been great for them, and especially having those males around. Those males can eat a huge amount of meat. So with them helping the pride, they'll get through a buffalo like this very, very quickly. Let us continue and see if we can find out where those lions have gone. But at least we know what happened. It's great to kind of piece things together, especially during the evenings, you know. Oh, hang on, there we go. Lions. Fantastic. Yes. Oh, male and female. Hang on. Let's see what's going on here. Just going to stop here. Oh, it looks like this male is trying to potentially mate with the female. Bit of growling going on. There we go. This is incredible. Look, so this male's mating with this female. I'm watching us. It doesn't look like a proper mating though. No, that was definitely not a proper mating. Let me just try and get a better position for us quickly. She doesn't seem too interested. She's trying to move away from him. But he is scent marking and doesn't want to move too far. Look how he's following her. Every now and then you might see him tap her back legs with his front legs or his front paws, trying to get her to stop walking away from him. Oh, a little sneeze. There, you see that? See, he's trying to get her to sit and crouch down. Oh, this is amazing. Listen to that interaction. Okay, I'm just going to move a little bit further forward. I see a gap for us without any branches, and I think Brian will get a better view for you from there. There we go. Lovely. And a beautiful morning light. Oh, that's fantastic. But you hear that interaction between the male and female, a little bit of low growling. He is definitely interested in mating with her. I'm not too sure if she is in estrus at the moment. But sometimes the males do just try their luck. This is one of the Birmingham males, I believe. I'm not too sure which one he is. I'm sure some of you viewers might be able to shed some light on that, if you recognize him. I wonder where the rest of the pride has moved off to. Those were then perhaps the ones that we heard earlier that have moved off a little bit. Usually what happens if lions are mating, the male and female do split away from the pride for a number of days, anywhere between 3 days and a week, and while they are mating, and then when they are finished, the lioness will probably rejoin the pride and the male will continue moving around and basically patrolling his territory. meet up with the brothers. I know there are 4 Birmingham males around here at the moment, so it's a nice large coalition. So they can have a huge territory and mate with females from many different prides, which they have done. This is wonderful. What a morning, gee. Beautiful elephant, the giraffe, the zebra, now these lions. And you can see that beautiful golden mane of that male just in this light, this morning light. Wonderful for photography. So not a bad start for us, eh, Brian?
No.
See, and I'm assuming they probably would have been quite active during the night, probably fed quite a bit, finished that kill, and maybe been moving around quite a bit. I'm assuming they would have gone and looked for water somewhere. And the reason I say that is because usually after a kill, lions or leopards or any predator that feeds on something, they do get very thirsty. The blood is quite salty, so they do go and look for water. And there may be little pools of water around, maybe something after that rain that they found, and they could have had a little drink. And now they're heading. I think what's going to happen though is as it starts to warm up, they're going to perhaps move down into this drainage line behind them, and look for some shade and probably rest there for the day. But it's not too hot just yet. That's why they're still out in the open. So we found them just in time. Oh, beautiful eyes. Look at that. Cleaning themselves, possibly still a bit of blood on them from the kill that they had. See that light on that male's face? That is really beautiful. See, often what can happen is he may lay down next to her for a while and then eventually decide, okay, well, let me try my luck again, see if I can mate with this female. But it's amazing to see how they're constantly aware and alert, listening around for anything. So Bobby Ches would like to know if the biting of the lioness's neck by the male, if it immobilizes the females. So Bobby, the theory behind that is that, for one thing, the mating is actually a bit painful for the lioness. So it's not a very pleasant experience. But the theory is that with the biting of the back of the neck, it is to hopefully calm the lioness down a little bit, and it goes back to when they were cubs. Possibly the females carry the cubs by the scruff of their neck, carry them. So the theory is that biting the back of the neck helps relax them or calm them down a little bit, and then that the male is able to then also watch the female, because usually what happens when he climbs off of her, she will turn and swipe because it is quite painful. So I think it's a bit of both, calm them down, make sure she doesn't turn and bite him immediately. He's got to be quite careful. It's not a very pleasant experience for the lions. Here we go, hang on. So he keeps smelling, trying to see if she is an estrus. I'm just going to move with them a little bit so we don't lose them. And if they do mate, hang on. Here we go, here we go. Oh, look at that. Listen to that sound. Now, I must admit, that actually didn't look like a proper mating there either. And the reason I say that is usually when the lions do mate, if the male penetrates the female correctly, there is a lot of growling and snarling, and that female does get a little bit hurt. The male's trying to creep up closer to her, it looks like. So both times now, it doesn't look like they've been mating properly. But watch, she's moving again. It looked almost like she heard something. I thought I heard another lion call in the distance. Let's see what they get up to, where they go. This is fantastic. Wonderful to be able to follow lions like this, especially when they are mating or the beginning stages of mating. And that could also be why it hasn't been too successful just yet, or they haven't mated properly. Maybe the male's still testing the female, trying to see if she is ready to mate or not. Oh, magnificent creatures, aren't they? It is wonderful to be able to find them early in the morning like this when they are still moving around. Because, as I mentioned, as soon as it starts warming up, let's just move forward a little bit with them. As it starts warming up, then they're probably going to go and look for some shade and lie down and rest. Also, if they keep going the way they are heading, they're heading right down into that deep drainage line, that very thick drainage line. I don't think we'll be able to follow them in through there. That will just be a little bit too difficult. They may just also continue along the edge of this thicket line. But just have a look at that male. He's not giving up. He's not letting her go. He's following her constantly. It does look like they're moving off. I'm going to try to stick with them a little bit longer. Just see which direction they go. If they do move down into the drainage line, we'll leave them. But let's just see where they do go. While I do that, I'm going to reposition the vehicle. Tayla's got a dazzle for you to have a look at.
So many zebra this morning. They're acting just like the buffalo. They seem to be on the move, looking for greener pastures. Nothing apparently tickles their fancy in this area, but don't worry, there is a second wind of zebra coming through. So they shall be here and join us in just a moment. But isn't that beautiful? You can now, for the first time in a few days, see that lovely golden light, because there are very few clouds in the sky now. The sun has burned most of them away. Look at them, David. They just keep coming and coming and coming. They're not stopping. It's like a production line of zebra being pumped out of the factory, and all they come, you can just see lots of stripes of white glistening in that light occasionally. Look at all of them. They're just coming from all sorts of directions. This is really beautiful. Now, I've got some very sad news for you, I'm afraid. Apparently, the cheetah brothers have already crossed out of Cheetah Plains, through Nkoro, and into Torchwood. And it'll be interesting to see the direction that they're going. Let's hope that they don't cross north into Buffelshoek, but let's hope that they decide to change their course and go a little bit further west. And that's what I'll follow up on this afternoon, is I will check Cheetah cut line and see if they perhaps haven't crossed into Nkuhuma. Wouldn't that be exciting? Look at them, they're still coming. They're everywhere. Well, it took us quite some time to get here. There were lots of people that we were chatting to along the way. That's why I was gone for so long. And of course those pesky gremlins that like to live in the drainage lines just as you come to Cheetah Plains. They were also harassing me a little bit. Wow, they really are determined though. More determined than the buffalo, not really stopping as frequently, putting their heads down to have something to eat. They're on the move. Now, I don't think that this is one herd of zebra. I think that there's probably 2 or 3 families in this massive group that have perhaps just been walking in the same direction and have joined up as safety in numbers. You know how important that is. Lots of males in here, lots of mares too. And they're slowly disappearing. There we go, another one. Now, looking at these beautiful zebra, something that we often notice is those beautiful big bellies and how swollen they are. Here we go, you can see. And I know that Marley G was wondering if zebra and horses have the same digestion. Yes, they do. Both very simple digestive systems. There's horses as well often bloat, like we see the zebra do with all those gases that they're releasing on a regular basis. So yes, of course, they've got very much a similar digestive system. Obviously, the wild horses will feed, very much like zebra, feed on grasses, feed on a couple of leaves when the times are tough. But of course the domesticated horses, they eat lots of grass and then all the other goodies that we feed them, carrots and mixed pellets that have got a variety of different things in them. We're going to leave the zebra now. Our aim is to get towards that beautiful big open area. Like I said, there's no wind, so I'm hoping, and I've got my fingers crossed, that we're going to come across an array of animals. Oh, I've heard somebody speaking. Let me see if I can get hold of them. Nope, not talking to anybody apparently on Cheetah Plains, but we will find our way around. I haven't seen any footprints of any of the cats either. I was keeping an eye out perhaps for the sticks, but I'm not sure where they are, and I'm not sure where the Styx Pride was last seen, but maybe you can help me with that. You can let me know when they were last seen and where they were last seen, and has Mom brought the new tiny cubs out just yet? And you can do that by either hashtagging Safari Live on Twitter, or you can send questions at wildearth.tv and pop us an email. Let's just have another look here and see. And I haven't even seen any hyena tracks recently. It's quite bizarre. Normally I'm always stopping and double checking for hyenas. Oh, hang on. As I said that, whose footprints do we have here? Right, I think I've got some leopard tracks. I just want to triple check. Yes, let me show you very quickly. Can you see the tracks that I'm talking about? Just over there. I'm going to try and point them out. Just see where you're going. Can you see them? I think they're on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you zoom in over there, can you see those footprints? We have got a female. Oh, sorry. I'm also trying to look at the tracks. It looks like a female leopard was perhaps walking down this road. It looks very late last night. The tracks are relatively fresh, but there's a little bit of dust in them. So I suspect that these are from last night's tracks, whoever was driving on this road. It'll be quite exciting. We're going to see if we can try and follow them. Now I'm going to keep my head down onto the ground. Of course, it looks like a female leopard's tracks. It could also be a very young male's leopard's tracks. But we're going to try and see if we can stick on them. Still walking on the road, and then you disappear off the road. Interesting. Oh, hang on, I can still see a few here. I'm not going to pay too much attention at the back. The ground has now got very hard all of a sudden. It's amazing how the substrate changes from lovely soft sandy soils where those lovely tracks were to now it's rock hard, and I actually cannot see anything on the ground here. I'm just going to roll very slowly forward until I can pick up on any more tracks. It's exciting. Now, I'm not even sure which females would be around in this area. I've never seen any leopards on, well, I haven't yet been in a sighting of leopards and cheetah plains. So again, I really need help today. Please give me a helping hand. Which females am I most likely to see sort of on the northern boundary of cheetah plains? Anybody in particular that hangs around? See here. It doesn't look like I can see any more tracks, but let's just double check up ahead on another sandy spot. Here's another one. Oh, what's going on over here? Okay, now I officially out onto the road. Perhaps she went off the road. Maybe did a little stroll, did a few marking of the territory. That's normally what we see when we see that zigzagging. Just have a little look here. It's a nice drainage system. Check the tops of the trees, check the termite mounds. I haven't seen any tails dangling from the tree just yet. Right. Let's just check one line.
Okay, so these lines have moved off a little bit. They've moved through into a thicker area now. Just trying to see, they're moving backwards and forwards quite a lot. So perhaps they come out again. I'm going to try and reposition our vehicle a little bit and see if we can't get one more glimpse of them, and then see where they head to. That male doesn't want that female to get out of his sight. He's following her the whole time, staying very, very close by. They did try and mate again, but again, it didn't look like a proper mating. So let's just see which direction they've gone. There we go. We've got a nice view of them over there. Get that aerial out the way. There we go. Just through there. So they've just gone and laid down. Not far from us again, but they've been in and out of this thicker stuff. And every time that lioness wants to get up and move, the male follows her and basically prevents her from moving too far, and then they lie down again. So Shannon from Ohio has asked a question about the mating and about what I was talking about earlier, saying how it is painful for the female. And Shannon would like to know, is it also painful for the male? So not as painful, and I'll tell you why, Shannon. What happens is when they are mating, the male's penis is barbed slightly, and the reason for that is when he is mating with a female, it induces ovulation. So the chances of ovulating while they're mating become a lot higher. So he will then test if she's in estrus and then mate with her, and then try and hopefully cause her to fall pregnant. But when he withdrawals out of the female, those barbs obviously hurt the female quite a bit, and that's what actually causes the pain. It doesn't hurt him as much from what we understand. Again, we don't really know, but but from what you can see when they do mate, it's mainly the female that gets hurt, not really the male. And that's why she often turns around and swipes or growls or tries to bite him, because it does hurt her. And you also see it very clearly with leopards when they're mating. Same thing. When the male withdraws out of the female, she does get hurt and they'll turn and swipe. Often the male jumps off very quickly. Sound like they heard something. I think what's possibly got their attention are those vultures. You can see the vultures in the tree behind them, and some of those vultures that were on the ground earlier, that would attract the attention of the lions, and they'll just have a look. Probably heard them moving around on the ground, or caught a glimpse of the movement. It's nice to really just be able to sit with these lions and basically see their natural behavior from a distance, not interfering. They're still quite active. Often, you do get lions later in the day that rest because they are mostly active at night. So to get them active like this during the day is fantastic. But it is warming up quite a bit now, so I wouldn't be surprised if these lions start looking for shade quite soon. And there's that lovely shot with the vultures in the background. Wonderful. Looks like the skies have cleared up quite a bit, so no more cloud, or very little cloud cover compared to what we had this morning. But there's still beautiful light on those lions. This is really a photographer's dream. You want to get this morning light or afternoon light on this, especially these animals like lions, this golden coloration. The light just helps accentuate that image so much when you are photographing them. So Lyle from Washington would like to know if the females ever groom the males. Lyle, at times the grooming which may occur between male and female would possibly be if there's a bit of blood from a carcass and they clean each other. It doesn't happen often. From what I have seen, it doesn't happen often with females cleaning or grooming males. The males often groom themselves or clean themselves. The females will clean each other, or especially the cubs. And that's usually when you see lions grooming each other, is the females, adult females, grooming and cleaning the cubs. You mentioned that yesterday you saw a lion with some bad ticks on his rump, and that's, unfortunately, he's got to deal with that himself. You won't find lionesses necessarily going cleaning ticks off another male, especially a male. They're still a bit nervous of the males. The males can be quite aggressive at times. They sometimes don't realize their own strength. And lionesses don't always just walk up to males and start cleaning and licking and grooming. They're always very cautious. It's a beautiful lioness. It looks in very good condition. Oh, this is really wonderful. It's so great to be back here. It's so peaceful again, and just spending time out in the bush. I had a really, really interesting lion sighting about 3 weeks ago. we were on safari in the Kalahari, and there's a pride of lions that we found, and we knew they had cubs, 2 lionesses. They had 7 cubs between the 2 of them, 3 to the one lioness and 4 for the other. And we knew where the den site was, but they were only, we estimated, about a month and a half to 2 months old, so still very, very young. And what happened was, we found the lioness, one of the lionesses one morning, and we could see she had just fed. She was very, very full. She walked and led us straight towards the den site. And then she continued to call the cubs out. So we thought perhaps she was just going to suckle them. But we were so fortunate, she actually brought the cubs out, and all 7 cubs followed her back to the other lioness that was guarding a kill. And it was the first time that these lionesses had taken the cubs out of the den site. So it was really an incredible sighting, a very special experience to see these little cubs exploring the world for the first time with their mothers. It's amazing how far they can take them too at a young age like that. We must have followed them for about almost 2 kilometers, at least. It's a little yawn from that lioness over there now. Occasionally yawning can signal that they might start getting active, maybe get up and move. Like, there we go. It is so great if you say something and it actually happens. Watch, let's just see. Hang on. Let's see if this is a proper... Again, it looks like it was, but I just don't see the usual growling or the snarling. But that lioness turning over onto her back like that is also a sign. They do that because they want to increase the chance of the eggs being fertilized. So the lionesses usually after every mating little session like this, they'll turn over, roll on their back, and it then apparently increases the chance of them falling pregnant. Just going to move a little bit for us. We're going to spend a few more minutes with these lions, just see if they do anything interesting, if they head back to their carcass, and if they investigate what's going on there with all the vulture activity and that. But while we do that, it sounds like Tayla's finding all the zebra this morning. Why don't you go and get an update from her?
It seems as though I'm the zebra whisperer, that beautiful herd that we had about 15 minutes ago, and I said how large it was. We're now really going to be able to see how many members were in that herd. We caught up with them again, and they've come to 3 in a row pan to have a lovely drink. Now, this is going to be a perfect opportunity again for some really amazing screenshots. It's not a particularly big pan, and then of course there's probably about 50 or so zebra here. So once they all decide to come out, it's really going to be quite spectacular. You can hear them all snorting. They were a little bit hesitant. They did definitely take their time coming over. I'm also going to capture a few screenshots because it's very pretty. Like I said, we don't always see things like this. The last time we saw all the zebra coming to have a drink at the dam was indeed at Red Dam. We watched them descend that very steep wall, which was really quite magnificent, with the black and white stripes and the red backdrop. Today we've got it slightly different. The water is so still, it's almost like glass, with there not being any wind today. Isn't this amazing? I haven't seen this many zebra, literally, not even the time we saw them at Red Dam there weren't so many zebra. There's definitely a whole lot more today. And definitely going to be lots of zebra pictures coming. Look at them all crowding around, trying to get the best spot. Hopefully there'll be a little bit of a disagreement as well, because that's always fun to watch. And how they kick and how they buck. Ooh. It's Steady. Play nice. There's plenty of water to go around here. Of course, so they always get quite feisty. Oh, did you see that kick? My goodness. I'm sure you must have heard it though. One got a double barrel right on the rump, which I suppose would have been a good spot though, because it's quite a tough section. Oh, I'm squeaking. Very funny though. Not funny for the one that got kicked. This is lovely. It's interesting that none of the foals came down to have a little drink. I thought that they would be in the water. Zebras love water. See a couple of youngsters. Maybe they're trying to find another way around. Hey, little one, not thirsty this morning? Still suckling from mum, are we? Yes, I'm talking to you. How beautiful they are. There's nothing quite like a dazzle of zebra, and this is of course really a proper dazzle today. I hope you're getting some good screenshots. Oh my goodness, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zebra in a line having a drink. Come on, add a few more. Fill in those gaps. That is beautiful. Look at all those heads in a row. Isn't that lovely? I love how they all come in, have a drink, next, funnel out, somebody takes their place. It really is like a production line today. And with these screenshots and the water being so still, I reckon you could probably flip the photo around and catch a few people and get them to believe that the reflection is the actual zebra. It's so crystal clear. This is stunning. Oh. Look at that. See that reflection, what I was telling you about? It almost looks like the actual zebra. Now, we're looking obviously at the most common zebra in Africa, the Burchell zebra. And I know that T. Fanake was wondering, how on earth do you tell the difference between the various zebras? Now, I think the Burchell zebra are the easiest zebras to spot, purely because of that shadow stripe. So in between the black and the white stripe, there is a very light brown stripe that almost makes the zebras look a bit dirty. And they are the only ones to have this shadow stripe. The Cape Mountain zebra is also quite easy to tell the difference between the two because they've got that big dewlap. But another feature of the Burchell zebra is if you go towards their stomachs, you'll see that their stripes go all the way around their bellies, whereas the others tend to have a big white gap between the black stripes, almost like a big white solid stripe going along the belly. And they're my favorite. I like the Burchells. They've got lovely personality. We've even got more zebra coming from the other side. This is amazing. Just not too many, but a couple more moving in. Coming to join the party. I would be very impressed if a lion would be able to sneak up to these zebra. They are super vigilant. They are looking over their shoulders. Some are facing east, some are facing west, some are facing north. And of course the southern sector is also covered. The eyes are all around. This is lovely. Morning zebra meeting. Hello, David from Napa. I'm so glad that you think that this is the best sighting ever, the best zebra sighting, of course. It is pretty spectacular. Now we can see some of the youngsters coming down to have a drink as well. Perhaps they were waiting for the adults to come through and drink at their fill, because I'm sure that they would be bossed around by some of the teenagers if the youngsters got too excited and dived in too quickly. Going to take 1 or 2 more pictures. It's so beautiful. It's so lovely this morning. I can't believe it. I don't think I've ever seen so many zebra before at a watering hole all together, making for some wonderful pictures. Now, zebra are water-dependent animals, so it's not uncommon to see them drinking at least once a day, if not even twice a day. I suspect they will be back for another drink later in the afternoon. Very much like the waterbuck as well, which are water-dependent. So, technically, this is what the books say now, of course, and like we always joke around that the animals don't read the same books as us. But zebra being water dependent, they wouldn't want to move away and live too far away from water. So they reckon that it's normally about a 5-kilometer radius that the zebras will move around and feed in that area. And they have to make sure that they get at least 1 drink in a day, like I said, if not 2 drinks on a real hot day. And even on a really hot day, and I'm sure you've seen it before, where the zebras will actually completely submerge themselves in the water. They love to swim and cool themselves down. It was beautiful. I see that all of you watching are full of jokes this morning. James Richard says that I'm a zebra zillionaire. I wish that was worth a lot of money. But I suppose being able to sit and watch this great herd of zebra in real life is way better than any amount of money. It's beautiful. We've even got a kudu popping out into the distance. She's coming through. Perhaps she's going to come through for a drink as well. Oh, it's just one. Oh, there's actually a family on its way, which is quite nice. So maybe they're going to come through and have a drink, take an opportunity that the zebra are around to help keep an eye open for any predators. It's not a bad idea. We're going to have another morning, or like we had yesterday afternoon, where we spent the first hour of drive just at the watering hole, watching all the animals come by. See if they come around and have a little drink as well. Now, kudu don't need to drink as much water as the zebra do. They get quite a bit of their water sources from the leaves that they're eating. No, it doesn't seem as though they're coming this way. We'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. This is beautiful. I just have to sit and enjoy the peace and quiet. As we're watching on this lovely warm day, and I don't know if you saw me earlier swatting the flies away. You saw that zebra just shake its head. The flies are back in abundance, and I know Donna was wondering, how on earth do the zebras twitch their skin like that, and does it really get rid of the flies? Yes, it does, Donna. It's actually quite amazing as to how effective that really is. So by twitching their skin, it's just a muscle contraction. Look at the zebra having a big yawn. Just a muscle contraction, that's all it is. And by doing that, it moves the skin, and then the flies fly away. So it is effective. It's not as effective, though, as that beautiful big tail with all that lovely long hair. That is the best fly swatter you can get. I really feel as though it's unfortunate that the animals have to deal with all the flies. I know that I can't stand them. Now imagine being covered like a buffalo normally is with hundreds of flies. Look at this lovely as they walk across the dam wall. That's stunning. So beautiful. It's hard to look away. We said this is a very, very special sighting. And the kudu are not coming down for a drink, they're just bypassing. And as quickly as those zebra came down to quench their thirst, they're off again. Perhaps we're going to meet up with them on the open plains. Maybe that's where they're going. Maybe we'll just follow the zebras around. We normally follow the big cats, the lions, the leopards, the cheetah, and all those wonderful things. But I think it's time that we pay a bit of attention to the smaller stars of the show. And I think the zebras, I'm going to call it now, I think that they've stolen the show already. That was very special. But let's carry on. Let's go and see what the big plains of cheetah plains have for us. You never know, it might be quite exciting. I know that there was someone, I've forgotten the name, that would love to see ostriches. I haven't seen an ostrich in ages, so I'd love to perhaps stumble into one of those big feathery birds. Now, we're not too far. I'm going to carry on making my way towards the open plains, and let's go back to Byron, who's still with the wonderful Nkuhumas.
Well, I think she's moved off. I think she was on site on their side, somewhere in there, because I'm sure...
I with someone here yesterday, and they said they'd go check in. They would go drive in, and as we drove away, they said we'd driven past, so it must just be in.
Yeah. So we're just having a look for Xiluva, the female leopard that you saw yesterday with that duiker kill. Very, very small duiker. So we just come to have a look. We left those lions. They moved a little bit further into the thicket. Not much more activity. As I said, it's starting to warm up quite a bit now. So they moved off, and we thought we'd leave them. We had a lovely sighting of them. Great to see the interaction, and I'm sure they're probably going to hang around there for most of the day. So now we're just trying to see, we in that area that female leopard was yesterday, and trying to see if there's any sign of her. I know there wasn't much left of that kill that she did have. It was a very small duiker. She could have either dragged it off and hidden it somewhere, or maybe lost it to hyenas during the evening. So let's have a good look over here. You know, especially in these dry conditions now, it's quite tricky to spot a leopard that's lying down in a thicket. They blend in so well. Oh, so Tayla's been really lucky with all the zebras she's seen this morning, and lovely to see them drinking. It's always wonderful to see those animals down at water. Any animal that's going down to drink is fascinating to see, because you don't always see it. You know, animals are quite nervous when they go to water. They always think there's possibly some predators waiting around, so they're very nervous. They drink quite quickly and then tend to move off. Sorry, I thought I saw something back here, but no, I can see the vehicle tracks in this area, so this is definitely where that leopard was yesterday, but it looks like she's probably moved off. So I'll just have one more look around here before we turn off and go down another road. Like I said, you've got to look very, very carefully while you're driving along. What's that? Isn't that a leopard over there? There we go. Got her. Yes. Fantastic. Let me see if I can get a little glimpse. Yes, look at that. Sure. There we go. Gee, that was a nice little find. Fantastic. Awesome. Gee, what a wonderful morning. What a nice surprise. Oh, it's a beautiful leopard. I say it's a beautiful leopard. I don't think I've ever seen an ugly leopard. So, this is really exciting. So this is the first time I've seen this leopard. I haven't seen it on Safari Live before. I'm trying to have a look. I don't see any signs of a kill anywhere. As you can see, she's quite well hidden. She's right in this thicket, little dense thicket. Not far from where she was yesterday. It looks like, just judging by the vehicle track, she's probably moved about 40 or 30 meters or so. But look at that. Look how well camouflaged and well hidden she is. Gee, so we've been very fortunate with our cats this morning, those lions, and now this beautiful leopard. Looks like a bit of cloud cover's come over again, so that'll keep it cooler for a bit longer. Just watch this female. See how those ears are twitching? She keeps looking around. They're very, very alert. And if there's any bit of movement or sound or smell, they'll pick up on it and they'll look around and investigate. Even though they are predators, they are still very careful. They want to know what's around. It could be another predator sneaking up on them, or it could be potentially food. So even though she ate yesterday, leopards and predators in general are very opportunistic. So they will still try and hunt, even if they ate very recently. I've seen lions on a kill literally feeding on a wildebeest, and another one ran past and they got up and chased that one too. So it just shows you that if there is food around, they will hunt and they'll try to kill and feed on as much as possible, because they don't know when they're going to get their next meal. I wonder if anybody else has seen this leopard this morning. We actually just drove past this area, scanned a little bit, and then came back. We weren't sure if she had moved off or not. But it doesn't seem like anybody else. I don't see any other vehicle tracks around this little section. And as I said, she's very well hidden. She's probably about 30 meters off the road into the thicket. These leopards are so elusive, and really, if they do not want to be seen, you're not going to see them. I always remind guests of mine too. The only reason we're seeing these animals is because they're allowing us to. We're very fortunate to have a relationship with these animals, and I say relationship because we are out, we track, we follow, we view a lot of these animals on a regular basis. That's about the extent of the relationship, and they allow us to view them. If this leopard didn't want to be seen, she could easily move off and we'd lose her very, very quickly. Such a peaceful morning. I mentioned that earlier too, but to be able to sit here and spend time with an animal like this, it's very relaxing, very soothing. Especially with the day warming up, it was a bit cooler this morning. It's starting to warm up now. I've had guests not quite doze off, but the eyes close a little bit, and you become very relaxed. So James Richard has just mentioned that he's glad to see Xiluva has hung around in this area from yesterday, because she had fed, and then James was saying he's not sure if she would still be around if she finished, and then probably would have just moved off, which is usually what they do, James. You're 100% right. So she possibly only finished the kill maybe early this morning, and with that rain she probably got a little bit of moisture but I think at some point she will move away from this area. As I said, I can't see any of the carcass. There's a chance there could still be a little bit of meat around here somewhere. So you never know. So maybe that is why she is still around here. You know what? I've just spotted the carcass. So there is still a little bit. It's a bit tricky. What I'll do is just now I will move the vehicle and see if I can show you. But it is right under a little bush. It's hidden a little bit. But yeah, so that's why she is still around, James. So there is still a bit of the carcass left, and that's why this female has hung around. But that's fantastic. I'm surprised because, you know, there is a lot of hyena activity in this area. I heard hyena last night through most of the night, and I'm surprised that nothing's found this kill or this leopard and stolen it from her. So she's done quite well to hide it. I'm surprised she hasn't decided to hoist it into a tree. There are a few trees around here that are a little bit larger that she could hoist it into. But you know, the thing is with these leopards, when they are feeding, it's easier and more comfortable for them to feed on the ground. So if she doesn't have to hoist it and she can feed comfortably on the ground, then that's probably a bit better. We're going to sit with Xiluva a little bit longer and see if she does move. While I do that, Tayla's got something interesting on the ground for you to see.
We had a Wahlberg's eagle. You can see it flying up and now landing on the knobthorn. And what it was doing, it was on the ground, and I think it was looking for some termites to eat. And we know that the Wahlberg's eagles absolutely love to eat termites. Now, I always get confused between a steppe buzzard and a Wahlberg's eagle because they're fairly similar in size and coloration. Where did it go? It's gone. Oh, that's okay. I'm sure we will find another one. But I don't know if you perhaps saw very briefly while we had a look. Is that something quite nice? Is that the eyebrow? Now, I put eyebrow in inverted commas because it's not really an eyebrow, but sometimes it looks like it. It's called a supercilium. That sort of bit that goes across the eye like that. And that's quite white with the Wahlberg's eagles, whereas the steppe buzzard doesn't have that. And we do get steppe buzzard in this area. I'm not quite sure if we see them this far north, but I'm going to be keeping my eyes open for them. They're lovely birds. Now, I know, Norman, you said you're a pin fanatic and you were actually having a look at the pin on my shirt. Should we have a look at my pin very quickly? I'll leave it there and then I'll let David zoom in on it. So it's actually a rhinoceros. It's a bit close. There we go. Now you can see it. I want to lift it towards you, and I've got to go the other way because I want you to see if you can see its horn. There we go. That's a bit better. And it's actually a black rhino pin. You get various different kinds. I love it. I bought it a few years ago, and now I wear it on all my shirts. And it has been through the washing machine, and it's managed to survive. I presume it's been in the tumble dryer as well, and it's doing a very good job to make it through this. I can see a big buffalo. I'm going to turn around quickly. And we're going to have a little look at the buffalo. Lots of buffalo around. There is no shortage of them at the moment, so I'm sure that's going to keep the lions happy for quite some time. Oh, there's everywhere. We've got one buffalo here, and then we've got about 55 million buffalo just in Mala Mala. That all, I think, went down for a little drink and are carrying on with their days, but we're going to try and catch up with Mr. Lone Buffalo and ask him about his day. We should start to see him now. And I'm sure he's happy to see all of his friends. Looks like that's where he's going. Right, we'll stop just over here. Let me find some nice level ground for you, David, so you don't have to... There he comes. You can see him over there. Hello, Mr. Buffalo. Slightly to tilt him a little bit so he doesn't look like he's walking sideways. He's an old boy, not quite as young and fresh as that one we saw first thing this morning. If you look at his horns, look how blunt those tips are. And you can almost see how he's aging by the look of his face. He looks like he's seen many, many, many things in his life. Now he's having a little munch, a little power snack. And I always feel sorry for the buffalo that they've got to carry around that big heavy head, and perhaps that's why they're so grumpy and have that sort of status of being so angry all the time. I don't blame them. If I had to walk around with a head that weighed probably almost 100 kilograms with the horns and all the muscle that's attached. And it's warming up quite a bit. It has definitely jumped at least 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. I reckon it's probably about just under 80 degrees Fahrenheit now, maybe about 78 or so. It is very hot. It's going to be a scorcher. We may have to be like the buffalo and go down and have a wallow in the mud. And I suspect that this is where this male is going, is that he's going to find a little pan for himself and settle in quite nicely for most of the day. I haven't even seen Gnorman. Gnorman the Gnu is not here on the plains. And unfortunately, there's no ostrich either. I would have loved to have seen some ostrich. I'm always keeping my eyes out for an ostrich that I'm familiar with. Her name is Susan. It sounds like a ridiculous name for an ostrich, but it's not. My tracker Candy, that I used to work with, he actually named her Susan. Now, I don't know if I've told you the story about Susan, but Susan was this female ostrich that arrived in the northern sector on also beautiful big open plains like we see here on Cedar Plains, and she's very fond of the vehicles. I don't know why. She's not tame. She's a wild ostrich, and she sort of lived between us and sort of Londolozi area, and she would move between the two reserves and anyone else that was in between. But she would see you and she'd all of a sudden put on a show. She'd go, oh right, camera, lights, action, and she'd fluff her feathers up and she'd come walking over with those lovely long legs of hers and almost swishing her hair back and forth. That's how I always imagine her when she'd come towards you, and she'd get a few meters away and then the show would really just start. She'd start grooming herself and pulling out all the old feathers, you know, posing lovely for all the guests to take lots of photos, and then she'd come a little bit closer, and if you had anything shiny on the vehicle, well, it would be pecked. From the mirrors to my camera box to, she never pecked anybody. She sort of respected us like that, but she was fascinated. She even put a little ding in the side of my vehicle that I was driving the one day. She was just pecked at it. She thought it was quite nice and shiny because I'd done such a sterling job on polishing the vehicle. Now, I hope to one day see Susan. I want to see what this buffalo is going to do, because he's approaching. It's quite dried up though, but it may be a little bit of mud. Let's see if he's going to go inside it. Looks like he's possibly going past. Oh, it looks like this buffalo is going to carry on past. I thought he was going to pop into the little bit of mud that's to the left of him. You can see all that dark sort of soil there. That was a mud wallow, and it looks like it's been well used, but he seems to be going somewhere else. Perhaps he's going to go and look for some fresher mud. Now, I'm so sorry. Louise, please could you give me the name of the lovely viewer who was asking this question very quickly? I didn't hear it correct. Jason in Maine. Dayton. I'm a bit far away from home, and I'm Dayton. We've got it. We've got it. Thanks so much, Louise. Sorry, I'm looking into the sun, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of squinting today. And I'm so glad that you've been following the show and watching it over the past couple of days. So Dayton mentioned yesterday and commented on what I said to you yesterday about India being the only other place in Africa, not in Africa, in the world, sorry, to see the big five. Now, they've pretty much got all the animals that we've got. Obviously, their antelope or deer, whatever it may be, is very, very different. But out of the big five, they've got lions, which are quite interesting because they're slightly taller than the lions we see here, and their manes aren't as big and beautiful because of the forests that they're sort of moving in. It's quite thick vegetation. And then, of course, they've got rhinos too. They've got elephants. They have got water buffalo. And they've also got, what am I missing? And they've got leopards. They've got leopards too, as well as tigers. So they've got everything. And that is my dream, is to be able to go on a safari and see what is happening in India. Apparently it's quite beautiful. Mainly I want to go, though, is to see the lovely tigers. I think they're quite spectacular. It would be really lovely. Maybe I need to start planning a trip. Now, there's nothing on the plains other than that wonderful Wahlberg's eagle that we saw, and then, of course, Mr. Lone Buffalo. So I'm not sure where we're going to go next. And those leopard tracks completely disappeared. I don't know where they disappeared to. That ground got very, very hard, and then unfortunately I couldn't keep up with it anymore, which was quite sad. But we're going to take a little drive, and we're just going to go for a morning bumble and see what comes around to us. But first, I suppose we better say hello to some impala. I don't think we really watched any impala yesterday. Oh, I suppose besides with the cheetah that they were shouting impala, they weren't very happy impala. These impala seem to be a little bit more happy with life now that there's no cheetah around. They're happy. I'm not so happy. I would prefer to see the cheetah. But let's have a look at the impala. Let's see if they're going to stand still. They're notorious for running away from me like they normally do. Hello, boys. I'm going to go forward because I think the girls are going to hang around. No, and of course, now he's running. These two youngsters are sort of staying around. Well, that's a beautiful big male on the left that's coming through. No, he's all right, and there's even an even really big one. And he's in the sun, and he's actually looking very nice. Now, that's a beautiful ram. Look at that, fit. Can't see any ribs. He's in great condition, lots of muscle. And of course, he's got a lovely set of horns on him. Definitely out of the three males we've seen now, he is the biggest and the strongest. So I think he'll be barking out all the orders. But most of the herd has already moved off into the thicket. And I don't know if you can hear the cicadas, but they're starting to chirp. And we know what that means, is we know those cicadas only come out on the very, very hot days. Stop for a little browse. I love the way that the impala mix their diet up from the grass, have a little peck at and some leaves. Something interesting about impala is, as beautiful as what they are largely responsible for dwarfing trees. So the little saplings that are starting to grow, the impala love to eat all those lovely green leaves, and then they start to sort of prune them and keep them really small. And now this is obviously can be a little bit of a problem, and this is something I'm going to try and show you today as well, is that how certain trees have actually been able to combat themselves and confuse the impala with the color of their leaves. So the tree that I need to try and find is a jackalberry, and I'm not going to tell you too much more about that, but hopefully we'll find a jackalberry and I can show you exactly what I mean when I say the leaves can confuse the impala. But let's go back a little bit. Let's perhaps go towards some drainage lines, because that is where we are going to find a jackalberry. Reverse over here. Right. Let's carry on. I'm going to go and investigate a few of the drainage lines, looking for a lovely and the perfect jackalberry tree. And while I do so, let's go to Brian, who is having a cat day today.
Yes, we have been having quite a cat day, cat morning so far. We're still sitting with Xiluva, this beautiful female leopard. She hasn't moved too much. Again, it's warming up quite a bit, and I think she's just enjoying the shade and that thicket that we found her in. I'm sorry, I've got some flies around me now. As I said, there is still some of that kill left. Not much of it, though. See if Brian can get you a little view of that. But she's really hidden it very, very well. There you can just see some of it, yeah, just the bit of hair and that's the carcass of the duiker still hidden in the thicket. So she's done well to hide it. But I think we've spent some time with her and she's very relaxed. Wonderful sighting, lovely to see her. What we're going to do is probably leave her, let her relax a little bit more, see what else we can find. I don't think she's going to move too far in the next little while. She's panting quite heavily, shows that she's fed quite a bit. She's full. That's usually a sign either that she's full or she's also getting quite hot. But she is in a bit of shade there, so she should be okay. What a wonderful sighting. So nice to see her. And like I said, first time I've seen her, so this is very exciting. There's a little yawn there. Alright, so I think why don't we continue and see what else we can find. We're looking for, Brian and I were discussing, we'd love to show you a buffalo because we haven't seen buffalo this morning yet. And if we do, it would be quite a successful drive. So let's just, I'm going to turn around here quickly. And Ramey has asked, have I ever had to habituate a leopard? So, Ramey, not necessarily, not in the official term of habituating a leopard. What I've done in the past is I've worked in an area where we've seen lots of leopard before. Excuse me a second, I just want to explain to these people where this leopard is so they can also maybe get a little view. It's always nice to help each other out and let people know where the animals are. Morning, hi there. That female leopard is lying just off in the thicket over here. So just have a good look, just where my vehicle tracks are there. Just look in, you'll see her lying there. Pleasure, no problem. Cheers. Sorry about that. So as I said, it's nice to always help each other out and let other people know where the animals are. They help us, so it's important, and everybody gets to enjoy the wildlife. There we go, they have seen it. So Ramey, getting back to your question about habituating leopards and animals, I worked at an area where we were very fortunate. We saw a lot of leopards. So we kind of habituated in terms of we would view females and find out when, you know, obviously seeing them mating and knowing when they're going to give birth and tracking and following and finding den sites. And then slowly but surely when the cubs are born, introducing them to vehicles. So what we would do is we'd park a vehicle quite a way away from the den site, only when the female actually went to the den site. That's the only way you can find a den site. And then spend time with them, one vehicle a day in the beginning, just to make sure that we don't disturb them too much, especially when they are young. And that slowly habituates the animals, slowly habituates the leopards, so that when they get a bit older, you can get a few more vehicles around them, and they are quite relaxed. Sorry, I thought I saw a tracker there, but looks like an old line track, nothing too fresh. Yeah, I can see vehicle tracks have moved over them. This weather is confusing me a little bit. It's been hot and then it's cool, and there was a bit of rain this morning, and now there's a bit of cloud cover again. So I'm really not too sure what's going on with it. It's been such a nice morning. it's nice to often just drive around and try and listen very carefully. Often you'll pick up on alarm calls or animals calling. This morning we did hear those lions calling in the distance. Before we found that male and female, we heard the rest of the pride a bit further east of us. And that's obviously a crucial way in finding animals, is if you can listen out for them and try to find them that way if you don't see any tracks. I was saying to Brian, I was in a sighting with guests recently. We were in a wonderful lion sighting, and just comparing the different types of guiding to what we do on Safari Live, and when you've got guests out on safari with you on a daily basis, and we were in this amazing lion sighting, and I think I said 3 words the entire sighting, because a lot of the time there's no need to speak in a sighting. You can just watch, enjoy, and observe the animals basically doing what they do, just in their natural habitat, behaving the way that they normally would with us not being there, or even with us being there. They don't mind it, and it's incredible to watch behavior and just observe. Whereas it's a little bit different. Obviously we need to explain a lot more, because it's harder to listen and to smell and to feel and see everything from a screen back home. But it's fantastic. It's a fantastic concept to be able to bring this to you and show you the wildlife and what they do. And I mean, we saw the lions mating this morning, which is incredible. That is not something you get to see every day. And a beautiful elephant bull so close to us. I can see there's a little bit of greenery coming up at the moment. I mentioned it this morning, this area has been so dry. I've never seen the Kruger as dry as it's been this last season. It's been incredibly dry. The river, there's a sand river, which is basically south of where we are, runs through a property, Londolozi, and I was there recently with guests, and I've never seen it dry, and it's completely dry at the moment. A few little pools of water in sections, but it's fascinating to see. But I also think it's important. I think this is nature's way of keeping a balance, a natural balance. They thin out the weaker numbers. Weak animals don't survive, and even though it's occasionally hard for us to see, but it is nature, and we need to remember we're purely here to observe and see what or nature in its natural form. So it can be tough at times, but it is a way to maintain a balance. So Liz would like to ask if I've noticed a difference in rainfall in the various parts of South Africa or Southern Africa that I've been in recently. I have actually, Liz, but it's generally been dry. Southern Africa has been very dry this season. We have not had much rainfall at all. But I drove up from Johannesburg yesterday. I drove up to Safari Live, or up to Djuma, and it rained for about 3/4 of my journey. It rained the whole way. So there was widespread rainfall basically on what we call the escarpment. So the high veld, the higher area of South Africa, which is basically just beyond the Drakensberg mountain range, a huge mountain range, which we can actually see from here now. It's very faint. Let's see if we can get a quick look at that, Brian, if you don't mind, through there. Let's see, there we go. You can just see very faint. It's not very clear, and if we get a lot of rain, that mountain range becomes a lot clearer and easier to see. But that is known as the Drakensberg mountain range, so that is the escarpment. So beyond that, we have an area called the high veld, which is a higher lying area of South Africa, and Johannesburg is kind of in that direction. So probably a bit further southwest, but in that general direction. And beyond that, there was a lot of rainfall the whole of yesterday. But as soon as I came through that mountain range and down into what is known as the low veld, this area that we are doing, and it's obviously high veld and low veld because the altitude difference. And this is much lower altitude where we are at the moment. And as I came through, it was cloudy, but there was no rain. And that's why this area is still so very, very dry at the moment. But I think, you know, like I said this morning, we were lucky we got a little bit of rain. Every little bit helps. So we're hopefully going to get some more rain in the next few weeks building up to the middle of summer, because we need it so badly. So the rest of South Africa, it sounds like is getting rain slowly but surely. But we need a lot more rain to recover from the drought that we've gone through. Brian and I were chatting this morning about when last I was here, and it was June, towards the end of June, so quite a while ago. And like I said, it's always great to be back here. But then I find myself guiding in different areas. The roads all kind of start looking the same, or you forget the road names. So even though I kind of have an idea of where I am, I forget the road names and then have to ask Brian or one of the other cameramen. But it is sometimes fun getting lost in the bush. Discover new things all the time. A lot of impala around here at the moment. I've just seen moving through the thickets. There's one that just ran across the road, and there's a few off to our right. Always wonderful to see the impala. If you look closely, it looks like, you see the impala, what's interesting with the impala is they are mixed feeders. So they'll feed on leaves off trees, like browsers usually do, or like that one was doing over there, was actually grazing, feeding off these little grass shoots. And that's one of the reasons why the impala are so successful. Being mixed feeders, they're able to find food almost any time of the year. All right, I'm going to carry on and continue to see what else we can find. While I do that, why don't you head back to Tayla and see what she's up to.
I'm searching far and wide for a jackalberry, which seem to be hiding away from us. Can you believe that such a big tree would be so difficult to find? I think we're going to move away from cheetah plains now. There doesn't seem to be too much else around except zebra and buffalo and the odd impala. We're going to come back towards Djuma, where I know where there are definitely quite a few jackalberry trees, and also I think it's time that we follow up on the magpie shrike nest that I found a few days ago. So we're going to have to head towards Hyena Road and see how Madam Magpie is doing. Maggie the magpie shrike, I suppose we could call it. I think it's got quite a nice ring to it, but we're still quite a fair way off. Now, I'm also looking for any little jackalberries that could perhaps be growing around here. I'm just scanning away, and of course I'm looking for anything really, anything that wants it to be talked about, but I'm not feeling anything just at the moment. Having a little scan, and it's getting hot. David, I think it could be a swimming day for us. And I know that we're all going to die when we go for our run a little bit later. The sun is going to make us very hot and exhausted. What's going on here? And you know what I haven't seen for a while that I'd like to see too is some spiders, perhaps a golden orb web spider or the community nest spiders, which I don't mind. I'm looking up as the birds are flying overhead, but nothing just yet. Where is all the animals? That's lovely Now, I've been throwing this word around, jackalberry, for quite a few minutes now, and I know that M. Ruth is wondering, what is a jackalberry? Apologies, I didn't describe it a little bit better. It is a beautiful big tree with very dark wood. The trunk almost looks black every now and then. And it's got lovely leaves with the most delicious tasting fruit on it. Little yellow fruits that have got big seeds in them, but they're quite tasty. I'm trying to think, what could I describe the taste of a jackalberry fruit to be? Like a gooseberry crossed with a... oh, what else could it be? Very much tastes somewhere along the lines of a gooseberry, but with a bit more of a fibrous texture to it. Have a look, no one's sleeping behind the termite mound, but there's nobody. But hopefully we'll be able to find one, especially when we get onto Djuma. I know where there are lots. And we'll have a look, and maybe we'll even have a quick jab at checking cheetah cutline and see if those cheetahs haven't perhaps crossed from Torchwood. Keep a little eye out, as well as follow up again this afternoon for any footprints. No footprints here, other than again the buffalo and zebra have walked all over cheetah plains this morning. We haven't even seen too many elephants, which is unusual. Normally there's elephants by the 100 on these hot days. I can see that they've been feeding around here. Lots of broken branches on the road, lots of leaves.
Okay, so I just caught a glimpse of a dwarf mongoose. I'm trying to see if it comes out. I'd love to show you these little animals. They're usually in large family groups, so they're very gregarious. Let's just have a look around here. There's this fallen over tree just next to us, and they were crawling through there. Let's be patient for a minute and just see. Smallest of the mongoose family, the dwarf mongoose, very, very small. I can hear them, they're in there. I can hear them moving around and scratching. Maybe they get curious. Sometimes they do get a bit curious. They stick their heads up. No, doesn't seem like it. Perhaps they're a bit camera shy. So we're just driving around at the moment to basically just seeing what we bump into. We've had such a great morning already with the lions, the elephant, the leopard. So it's nice to do these just general areas that you might find a bit more plains game, zebra, wildebeest. Maybe we come across some interesting birds. And again, it's starting to warm up now, so as soon as that sun comes through that cloud cover, it really is a lovely morning, very warm. I think it's going to be quite hot today. Just currently scanning all these various trees around, just seeing if there are interesting birds that we can have a look at while we are driving. You can hear a lot of bird calls while we are driving. There's a lot of black-headed orioles been calling this morning. Heard some woodpeckers. I can hear magpie shrikes. And it's just sometimes a bit difficult to point it out to you on camera unless we're quite close to them and we can pick up on the sound. David in Napa has just commented on how interesting it is that there's so many different hawk and eagle species around here. We've got a great variety of birds, especially birds of prey. A lot of eagles, a lot of vultures, hawks. It's always wonderful to see them. I can hear a bird that is calling at the moment. I'd love to show you, but can you hear that sound? It's a francolin. Let me just see if I can find it for you. Oh, it's making a lot of noise, but I just can't seem to see it yet. I don't know. Hang on a second. Let's look carefully. I wonder if it's still in the tree. Some of these little francolins are very, very well camouflaged. Just going to move forward a little bit and try a different angle. And they run around on the ground, and it's not always easy to see them. It's getting a bit thicker now. Hang on, maybe from this angle. A very loud call for such a little bird. Let me just see once more. It sounds like it's right there and I just can't find it. Let's see if I can find it in the book quickly and just show you. And there's another one calling back. I think it's possibly a territorial call. Maybe Brian still has a little bit of luck there if he can find it. There we go. So it's, and why I wanted to show you is because it's really very, very beautiful. It's called a Coqui francolin. It's not one that you see very often, but it got a very, very distinct call. That's it, that Coqui francolin. See, the female's got a little bit of white on the throat with that black barring, and then that's the male with the reddish head. Beautiful, beautiful little francolin, but you can imagine very well camouflaged and not always easy to see. But I mean, you can hear them, they're so loud, it's right there. Just can't find it. But that's something different, and that's it's always nice. Even just to hear these sounds, it's wonderful, and you know it's there, and if you don't see it, it's not the worst thing. Yeah, possibly a pair, because I can hear one calling in the distance and it's returning the call that this one's while this one is calling. All wired up again. I need to get used to this. All the microphones and the earpieces and that. It's fun. I joked about it last time I was here. The voices in my head, the wonderful ladies in the control room. And it's, they always relay your questions to us. And please don't forget to send through questions and comments. It's always wonderful to hear from our viewers. So Judy has just asked me a question about my last trip that I just did to Londolozi, and if I had seen a male leopard in Nkuhuma. Judy, I didn't see him, but the other guys in that area that guide there permanently, they did mention that they'd seen that leopard. He come through onto the northern section of Londolozi, and they did see him. I didn't see him while I was there though, but he was spotted a few times in that area. And if I understand, he came from this area, I think. So yes, but he was seen there, Judy. Yeah. Impala running off again or around here. So I always think it's such a good sign to see impala, because they're a good food source for a lot of predators, and also if the impala are doing well, then generally the other wildlife should do well too. Bear with me for a second. Brian, if you wouldn't mind following me, I'd like to show you something. It's not always about the... Oh, hang on, all these microphones and that. Not always about the big stuff, but have a look at this. We've got a beautiful flower I'd like to show you. Have a look here. Can you see that? Beautiful, beautiful purple flower. And this is a morning glory. That's what this flower is. Beautiful, beautiful flower. And it stands out so much out in this dry landscape. There's not much else that's so colorful around here. It's lovely to see that. There's a little beetle inside there, probably getting some pollen out, looking for some food. But that's lovely, something different. Beautiful little flower. We get these other flowers just also in the really dry conditions. In the middle of winter, you get something called the impala lily. Beautiful, bright pink and white, and they stand out so much in the dry season. But nothing really feeds on them. They only flower during the winter, but they're slightly toxic, and they really do stand out. But just like this morning glory, I mean, driving past, you spot it immediately. Beautiful, bright purple coloration. And I think very soon we'll start seeing a lot of flowers. I know Tayla showed you some flowers this morning. She said her favorite's the lion's eye, and I think she showed you the stripe of stars. Beautiful white flowers. So Brian and I are going to continue wandering around, seeing if we can't find something else very interesting for you. I think Taylor's just returned onto Juma, and why don't you go across to her and get an update?
Now my search for the jackalberry is not going too well, so I'm heading to the place where I know we're definitely going to find a jackalberry tree. We're going to do a cruise down the Mulwati, and I don't know when anyone has done one last, but I haven't done one in ages, so I'm quite excited to get in there, and we should be there shortly. Are we almost there? Yes. Almost there. We're right here. About 80 meters or so to go before we get in, and then we'll be able to find that wonderful jackalberry tree. And I can tell you what was going on about. Like I said, we have to find the right jackalberry tree though. It can't just be any jackalberry tree. And let's see now. The search begins. Like I can already see one, but it's not the one that I'm looking for. Right, 4x4, here we go. Jackalberries, you can come. My favorite. It always feels so nice and soft, and sort of no bumping around like we do along the roads. Let's see, some bush willows. Right, not the right jackalberry I'm looking for. You'll understand why I'm being very specific when I need to find the perfect jackalberry. Let's see. Perhaps as we get a little bit deeper in Mulwati, we'll find one that I'm looking for. Let's have a look. Oh, nothing here. Been going on in the Mulwati. Very footprints, the odd buffalo footprint, the odd footprint. Lots of buffalo dung, in fact, to be all about at the moment. Right, the gremlins are jumping aboard. Jigger, let's go back to Byron for a moment.
I think Taylor's been driving in areas where the gremlins are attacking her on purpose. She's putting me under pressure for my first drive back. I think she's making sure I'm on camera a lot this morning, which is fine. Like I said, it is something that I've got to get used to again. Very different, but so much fun. Not much else happening on our side just yet, but it's always just really lovely to drive through, and again, you never know what you're going to bump into. So I always say it's too soon to panic. But it's nice to see, just driving through a lot of these open areas now, you can see the green grass shoots coming through, which is good. It's a great sign. I've been mentioning it a few times this morning, but it really is, because when I was here 3 weeks ago, or in this area, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. So it's fantastic to see how it's changed so quickly, just from the little bit of rain that they've had in the last few weeks. James Richard has just asked us another question about a flowering tree. James would like to know when the African wattle starts producing flowers. Good question, James. I'm trying to think now. The wattle, I think we need a bit more rainfall before it starts flowering. They do get those beautiful yellow flowers. So it should be closer to November, December. I think we'll start seeing more of them flowering. Again, I think it does depend on the rainfall though, James, so it depends how much and when the serious rainfall comes. I've been here in this area a number of times where we've had heavy rainfall in the summer, in January, February, and the floods come, and that's amazing to see. You see these rivers. When I say flood, they flood. Sometimes you can't go out and drive because the roads are all muddy. The rivers are, you cannot get near them, never mind cross them, because the water level has risen so much. So that could still be coming towards the end of the year or beginning of next year. Have a look. Yes, some interesting antelope we haven't seen this morning yet. Some waterbuck. Hang on a second. Let me just try to get you into a good position. They're moving off just to the right. A nice little herd of waterbuck. There we go. Looks like females and youngsters are. There they go. A little bit shy. Look at that beautiful white ring around the rump. It makes them very easy to identify. And quite shaggy coats. So this looks like just a bunch of females with youngsters. They're moving off quite quickly now. They, oh, look at that. That's a young male. You can see the little horns. But I don't see a big male. They get these beautiful horns, very large horns, which curve up and around. But this just looks like females. There's one or two impala wandering around here with them. That was a nice size group of waterbuck. They get the name waterbuck because they are very reliant on water. They do tend to stay close to water, and they do need to drink quite regularly. Being attacked by a bee, it looks like. Something's buzzing around me here. the dangers of being a guide in Africa. Oh, but that's wonderful to see this waterbuck moving off. And that beautiful white rump, or white ring around the rump rather. Alright, yeah, they've just moved off in through the thicket there away from us. But lovely to see them. That was a nice surprise. It sounds like Tayla's finally found her elusive jackalberry tree.
I didn't think I'd ever spend so much time actually looking for a jackalberry tree, but like I said, it needs to be a specific tree. It can't just be any one. And I'm going to show you why exactly it needs to be the right one. So I'm going to get out very quickly. Let me unplug myself. And Byron, I'm very sorry as well for putting you under so much pressure this morning. So what I'm going to do to fight off the gremlins, I'm going to carry this stick with me over here. Well, no, that's probably not going to do anything to the gremlins, but we'll find a good one. Maybe we'll use this one. We'll use this stick, which I will use to fight off all the gremlins that want to try and take my signal away. But let's go to this little tree over here with my fishing pole. Now I've got to climb up. Whee! Right, here is the jackalberry that I was looking for. You're probably thinking it's not a very impressive jackalberry. Ooh, and I've got a wasp coming close to me, but it's exactly what I was looking for. Now if you have a look at all of the leaves, you can see green leaves, you can see red leaves. And this is amazing. This is no coincidence. I'm going to go around. I'm going to try and pick some nice leaves over here. See these leaves over here, the lovely, beautiful, waxy red color that they've got? This is not that it's an old leaf. It's not that it's a dying leaf. It's actually got a chemical called anthocyanin inside the leaf, which turns the leaf this color, this lovely reddish yellow color. Like I said, it's by no mistake. And of course you can see the green leaves. Remember how I said that the impala are responsible for dwarfing the size of trees? As you can see, something like this is not really getting a good opportunity to grow because the inyala, the impala, the bushbuck, the kudu, they're all coming and feeding on the tasty leaves of the jackalberry. But now, if the animals see the red leaves, like the leaves that we see on the fallen ground, are always red and sort of rustish color, they don't eat those dry leaves. And this sort of, I suppose, confuses the antelope, and they're uncertain, and they leave them alone. So isn't that amazing adaptation for this tree to try and prevent from being browsed all the time? They release this chemical, anthocyanin, and makes the leaves reddish color, which looks like an old leaf. It's amazing. Now I need to try and get back down here again with my stick, which I'm carrying with me because I'm not going to have any more nonsense from the gremlins this morning. They've messed around with me way too much, and they're very upsetting. David, the stick is coming towards you. So we'll see if we can get it to stand up. It could actually be a flag. Maybe we'll have to design a flag for this afternoon and drive around with that. Right, let's get all plugged in. Isn't that lovely? Now, let's carry on with our cruise. And off we go. And if we find a better jackalberry, I will let you know. Right, but let's go back to Byron, who's got a beautiful bird for you.
is a beautiful bird indeed. And this is a lilac-breasted roller. There he goes, just in time. A very harsh call. You hear that for such a beautiful bird, it's got a very, very harsh call. He was just sitting up in this apple leaf. That's the tree that it was sitting in. Beautiful apple leaf tree. And but he has now flown off. But they are beautiful, beautiful blue. I think there's 7 or 8 different colors on a lilac-breasted roller. They really are very, very beautiful. And apple leaf tree there. Apparently the apple leaf gets its name from the sound it makes when you break a leaf. So it sounds apparently like you're biting into an apple. So that's where it gets its name, apple leaf, from. I don't know so much. I've tried it and it's similar, but not quite the same. Often I wonder where these names come from. But they, in some African cultures, they're also known as the rain tree. And the reason for that is occasionally young boys, when they're looking after the cattle in rural areas, they sit under these trees for shade, and little drops of liquid would fall onto them, and that is from something called a spittle bug, which you get sitting in these leaves or on these leaves and in the tree. What happens is they suck moisture from the leaves, and then it passes through the body very quickly, and the water or the liquid then drops down. And if you're sitting under the tree, depending on the time of year, you may get these little drops of liquid from the spittle bugs above you, and that's where it gets the name rain tree, because it looked like it was creating rain. So, Bud from North Carolina, I've seen something interesting, and I'm going to get out and show you. It is called a community nest spider web. And let me jump out quickly and show you, and then I'll get back to Bud's question. I hope this works. Let's see. Hang on a second, I'm just trying to find a little piece of grass. Alright, let's see if this nest is active. I'm not sure. You still see me alright? There we go. Okay. So this nest is active. I'm just trying to see, and all I'm doing is I'm not disturbing the spiders, but what happens is these community nest spiders all live in this very, very tight little nest of theirs. And what happens is the number of individuals within the nest, they all share it, and if something lands on the nest, any insect, it obviously creates a vibration. They pick up on those vibrations, and those spiders all come out, and they'll try and get some of that food. So I'm just trying to see if I can get some of them to come out for you, just to have a look at. Just creating a little bit of a vibration here and seeing if there's, saw 1 or 2 moving earlier. And occasionally you'll also get little birds nesting in these nests. Let's see, they're all at the bottom, but they are so small, so I'm not too sure if you'd be able to pick up on them. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like any of them are coming out now, but very interesting to see all these spiders coming out together, trying to get some of the food that has landed in the nest. Those are the community nest spiders. Very interesting to see them. just getting back to Bud's question. Bud was asking about the snakes in the area, and he was saying that he's seen a lot of, or he's seen black mamba, puff adder, and the boomslang or the tree snake on Safari Live, but he hasn't seen a cobra. Now, Bud, we've got a lot of different species of cobra throughout southern Africa. In this area, one of the most common cobras is known as the Mozambican spitting cobra. We do get a lot of them around, so I'm surprised you haven't seen one yet. You never know. Now, moving into summer, with the rains coming and snakes start becoming more active, stay tuned and you might still get to see one of those cobras. Little tree squirrel running off. Sometimes they're so quick. I mean, we get little glimpses of these things moving away. We try and show you, but it's not always easy. And especially something the size of a tree squirrel. It's only about this big, very small. They can disappear quite quickly. So nice to be exploring this area again. So Kathy has asked me an interesting question about when guests arrive for the first time on safari. Basically, Kathy would like to know is what is requested the most, or what animal is asked to be seen the most. Kathy, it varies. You know, I must admit, people are generally going to say lion or leopard or elephant, the bigger stuff that they've seen on TV, and they want to watch lions hunt. But one of the other animals that, or two animals that I find are people ask to see a lot are giraffe and zebra. Everybody wants to see a giraffe and zebra, I think, because they're so unique, they're so different. And to be able to see those animals is fascinating. So those do get asked for a lot. Little blue waxbills just flying off, tiny little birds, blue waxbills, you can see them fluttering off. So it really is warming up already, and it's just gone 8 o'clock. It's only 8:15 in the morning here, and it's very, very warm. So I think today is going to be quite hot. I wonder if James is having hot weather where he is down at the coast. Hope he's having a good holiday. I know it's well deserved. He's been quite busy. So we're going to carry on looking for something interesting to show you. And while I do that, Tayla's got her favorite animals with her.
My day is not complete unless I have a dose of elephants. And I suspect that this is the same herd that we saw yesterday. I think it could be. Look at that teeny tiny baby elephant. And everyone seems to be very happy after a little mud bath. I think we just missed them splashing around in the mud literally by a few seconds. And now I think they're going to go and look for a nap. If you look straight in front of me, Darby, can you see? It looks like they're preparing for a nap already. Yeah. Can you see that? Standing in a little bit of shade, little one having a suckle, and everybody else not doing too much. And it's warmed up quite a bit now. It is very, very hot, so I don't blame them for wanting to have a little bit of a siesta. And we got this tiny little calf again, which is so sweet. Now, with this calf being so young, this herd of elephants is not going to be moving great distances like they normally would. There's obviously quite a bit of food around and water. We're actually at Chele Pan at the moment, not very far from where they were yesterday. You can see the two little ones going down to perhaps have another splash in the mud. Much older than the little one we were just looking at. And I'm sure that jackalberry tree that we just saw, that they were at the trunk, must be covered in mud. Look at this little one, very unsure as to what's going on. I think we could see a little bit more of a splish-splash. Mom's coming down now too. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was playing music, playing bird calls earlier. Listening to the Levalence cuckoos that were calling, confirming as we were in there, so I had to turn my sound up in order to play those calls. And I was sad I didn't get to show you a Levalence cuckoo, because they were everywhere. There were a whole lot of them flying in the Mulwati. But the gremlins were back. Oh, look at this. Look at these two young bulls having a little push and shove around. There's 4 of them having a good play at the moment. As everybody else is catching a rest, it seems as though the youngsters find that this is a perfect opportunity to play. Isn't this lovely? Not going in for a drink. Look at those two at the back. One's trying to plant its feet firmly in the ground and not give up its space. It's a bit unfair. The one on the left's got a higher ground advantage. Oh, but being pushed right out the way as the underdog comes in. Oh, and here comes the little one about to come past the vehicle. Hello, tiny tot. Doing the elephant 2-step, are we? Still very uncertain as to what we are, but Mom doesn't seem to mind too much. Hello, tiny one. Look, it's still pink around the eyes. It's so small. Look at that. It is tiny. Hello, little one. And that's when you know that they're young, when they have that little pink tinge to their skin. Oh, this is beautiful, being surrounded by a lovely, relaxed herd of elephants. Come on, little ones, go in for a splash. You can't be done just yet. This is so amazing. And they're coming right past us. You can see my gremlin stick over here. Hello, ladies. Oh, they're coming right up past the vehicle. Hello, girl. Beautiful creatures, and they're so relaxed, they don't mind us at all. Now, Corey, you want to know if it's true if elephants never forget. Now, I'm not sure. I've never been able to have a conversation with elephants, but with their behavior, we see that they're quite curious about certain things. I think they've got very good memories. The fact that they are able to remember all those different paths and different routes to find water and the best sort of grazing, that the information is usually passed down from the grandmothers of the herd to the daughters and to the rest of the group. So I think they've got a relatively good memory. I think better than a wildebeest's memory, or perhaps an ostrich. Oh, look at them. Now it's quite nice to see all these young boys hanging behind, not right in and amongst the rest of the herd. They're sort of getting their own independence now and developing their own personalities. And they like to spend some time with each other. Oh, those two youngsters are pushing each other around again. They're having great fun. And this is so important because one day, in many, many years to come though, they're going to have to challenge each other, possibly for some females. I love it when they rest the trunk on their head. Look at that, isn't that lovely? And they seem to be decent size and sort of the same size, so it's a good competition that we're going to see here. That one's just having a little rest of its trunk. Normally that's a bit of a dominance display, but I think here you can't really call it that because they're not really having a proper fight. They're just sort of playing with each other, copying each other, copying what the other elephants do, the bigger bulls do when they push and shove each other around. And it's funny, as I mentioned cuckoos, they all stop calling, and they've been calling all morning. We're actually chatting about the various types of cuckoos that we see. Like I said just now, the Jacobin cuckoos are back. And I'd love to try and show you one. Maybe we'll be able to find another one this morning. We'll have to stick to the drainage lines though, and have a look and see if we can find some. Oh, having a little drink. That water doesn't look particularly appetizing though. I think it is better water to cover yourself full of mud and to cool yourself down nicely. Let's see if he's going to splash himself. No, he's just playing. Squirting it around, having a great time. David in Napa, don't worry, I'm on the same boat as you. It sometimes can be quite confusing to tell the difference between male and female elephants, especially if you are just looking at their heads. The male's head is a little bit rounder than that of a female's. A female's head is quite square and sharp. So another thing that I like to do, David, is like what we're watching here, is the rest of the herd is completely moved off and you've just got the naughty boys. Look at them. Who are stuck behind and chasing each other around. Then you would also sort of know, those must be the males then, because the girls do tend to stick together, unless obviously it's mom and little calf. Sometimes they can get left behind slightly. But typically, the younger boys sort of around between 10 and maybe 15 years old, just before they're ready to get kicked out, tend to hang towards the back of the herd. But it is tough, so don't worry. Every now and then you'll hear me call an elephant a bull, and perhaps it's a female, but a very masculine looking female. That can happen too. Oh, they're so relaxed. It's getting very hot now. And comes another one walking out of the thicket, coming out into the open for us. You can see how the elephants have all started flapping their ears. We haven't seen them doing this for a while, and that's how you know it's hot. And this ellie's not doing it for the flies. It's just trying to cool its entire body down by cooling the bloodstream down. That's the most effective way. Otherwise, like we've just seen them doing, spraying water around and on themselves, covering themselves with mud, that's also a good way. Beautiful elephants. And it's nice to see, though, that the elephants are looking in much better condition. They seem to have plumped up quite nicely. Their backbones aren't sticking out as much as they were a few weeks ago. And I know that Jojo was also wondering along these lines this morning, and Jojo wanted to know if I thought that the elephants survived. There's my gremlin stick, which I'm keeping close by. The elephants survived the drought better than the other animals. I think so, and I think that's thanks to that wonderful trunk as well as those tusks, and that combination allows them to feed on vegetation that doesn't have to grow above the ground. They can dig for water, they can dig for bulbs, they can make use of all the things growing underneath the ground. So I think those tools, those tusks, help them out quite a bit. And of course that super sensitive trunk that's able to sense and smell perhaps the water that's below the surface of the ground. I think they did all right, but they're looking much happier now. At one point, we were seeing almost entire breeding herds with secretions coming from the temporal glands, which we know is an overstimulation of adrenaline, and that could mean that they're either very stressed, and with the drought being around, I presume that they were quite stressed. Isn't that lovely, though? But now the elephants have moved off and out of view into the thicket. Maybe we'll get 1 or 2 more views. Right, I think we'll leave this lovely herd of elephants and let's go back to Byron, who's also doing quite a bit of birding today.
I have indeed done some birding, and we are with another beautiful bird called the African hoopoe. Beautiful bird. Look at that wonderful crest. He's preening himself at the moment, cleaning his feathers. And he's got a wonderful crest on the head. It's actually flat at the moment, but every now and then they do raise that crest, and it looks really beautiful. Sounds like Tayla also got really close to those elephants now, which is fantastic. I know she said earlier it is her favorite animal, and it sounds like we've both been very fortunate with the elephant sightings. We had that bull, and nice to see a herd. Always great to see a herd of elephant. Oh, there it goes. Off it goes. There's something else enjoying the shade at the moment. It really has warmed up. And have a look off to the right. You'll spot him shortly. There he is. Beautiful Inyala bull. Just enjoying the shade, and that's a full-grown male Inyala, and they look so different compared to the females. It almost looks like they are different antelope at times, because the males are this beautiful grey coloration with white markings, and the legs, and you can't see now on that male, but his legs a little bit, you can see the legs are actually a reddish brown coloration, and that is the color that the females are. The entire body of the females is a reddish brown, but they do have very prominent white stripes heading across the body, down the body. But this is the male, and only the males have horns, the females don't. And he is ruminating at the moment. So all antelope in this area are ruminants. You can see he's chewing, and all that he's doing is he is chewing the cud. So they feed on food, and the ruminants have got something called a 4-chambered stomach. The food passes through into the first chamber. They then regurgitate that food later, mixed with the enzymes from the stomach, and they re-chew the food to break it down even further, and then swallow it again, and then it gets digested even further. So it is a very, very efficient digestive system, and all the antelope species are ruminants. Other animals also include the buffalo, giraffe. Those are all ruminants too. And there, that male gets up and looks like he's going to move off. What a wonderful morning. It's been great. I mean, the elephant, the lions, the leopard, we've seen so much. It's so good to be back. I'm so happy. Really hope you've all enjoyed it too. I'm going to say goodbye for this morning's drive, and Brian and the thumb I'm going to say goodbye too. And we will see you this afternoon on our sunset safari. Please don't forget to join in. It's been wonderful having all of you with us again. And like I said, great to be back. I'm here for a while. Thank you to the ladies in the control center, and we will see you all later. Head back to Tayla, and she will say goodbye and chat to you a little bit more.
I've got a roadblock, as I thought that I wanted to leave the elephants. They thankfully decided to say, one last hello. Now, David and Napa, I was having a good chuckle to myself now. This elephant that we're looking at now, Darby, can we zoom out very quickly? When I first saw her, she looked very, very male-like because she had tall, very long shoulders, and her entire back looked very man-like. And I thought, oh, that's a male. Then I saw the little one walk over and start to suckle. So I had a good chuckle, and I thought to myself, even I'm still getting confused between the difference of males and females. Oh, see, her whole body looks more like a male, and then you get to her head, and then of course she's got mammary glands, so it's not a male. But they've now decided to feed. I've had to park in the shade because David and I are burning to an absolute crisp. My fair skin is not enjoying the heat today. I'm going to have to lather myself up with plenty of sunscreen so that I don't get too many more freckles. We want to keep them to the minimum. You can see the ellies now moving into the drainage line where it is much cooler than out in the open where they just were. And I think they're going to feed. I think they're going to have little siestas. It's nice and cool here. I'm sure some of the new elephant calves that we've been seeing are going to be quite tired in this heat. And perhaps with all the walking around, it's been quite an exhausting day for them so far. So it would surprise me if they sat down and had a little siesta. But that mud is going to dry nice and sort of cool their bodies down. You can see it's still glistening. It's so wet still, but it will dry in no time and form a nice layer of protection, almost like a sunscreen on that tough elephant skin. This is lovely. Coming out for one last look, are we? And they're such peaceful animals. Now, unfortunately, we're coming to the last seconds of the show. I hope you had a wonderful morning with all of us. It's been great, and I just want to say thank you to the lovely ladies in Final Control. From myself and David, we shall see you this afternoon.